Welcome to REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is maximize profits with dynamic pricing for short-term rentals. Dynamic pricing is a game changer for real estate investors in the short-term rental market. By continuously adapting your rental rates based on factors like demand, seasonality, and local events, you can optimize your revenue. This strategy ensures you charge competitive rates during high demand periods and attract guests with affordable pricing during the slower times. In a competitive landscape, dynamic pricing is the key to keeping your property profitable and maximizing your returns. My personal favorite is Beyond Pricing, but other popular ones are Guesty and Price Labs. It's also important to mention that the dynamic pricing tool in Airbnb is garbage. It really just benefits Airbnb. So don't leave money on the table and add a third-party dynamic pricing tool to thrive in the short-term rental business. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us the closer, Jerry Green. Jerry started in real estate in 1994 in Springfield, Ohio, after going through a bankruptcy. He began by wholesaling properties and then evolved into fix and flips. Since then, he has been involved in over 3,000 deals, including fix and flips of single and multifamily homes, rentals, and commercial properties. Jerry soon realized there is a big difference from just being in real estate investing and actually running a real business. So after multiple failures, millions of dollars in mistakes, and through a personal tragedy, he was able to build a true, scalable real estate investment business. Jerry now spends his time helping others build and scale their business by offering in-person and live events year-round. He is truly the best in the business, and I'm thrilled to have him on the show, so welcome, Jerry.
What is up, Jen?
Hello. So good to see you, my friend.
Well, likewise, that's for sure.
Well, I truly believe you are the best in the business, and I do not say that lightly. Listening to you, I've heard you speak a few times now, and you just blow me away because in this industry, I just totally took off here because I'm so excited about this interview. In this industry, it's so many people feel like, I got to chase down the deals. And really what the most important part is closing the deals. So I wanted to bring you on here today to really just break it down for the listeners. But before we do that, tell us how you got involved with real estate.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you, Jen. I really appreciate this. It's
Absolutely.
Nice to be on, and always great to see you as well. So, and I love your setup. Great. This is just amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations on everything there. So, yeah, guys, I got started in this business, as Jen mentioned, back in 1994. So I got started in the business. I actually, the way I even found out about the real estate business and was actually just watching the TV infomercial. So it was back in the early 90s. I saw an advertisement about an upcoming seminar in Cincinnati, Ohio. I was living there in Springfield, and I thought, well, man, that looks pretty cool. So I decided to go to that. And as you shared too, I was going through a crazy time in my life. I went through a bankruptcy during that time. I was in the contracting business and got really just put instantly in the position where I was out of work and trying to figure out what to do. And I saw this advertisement, decided to go to that training, and sat there for 3 days listening to the guys tell me about different ways you could go out and make money in real estate. And, it really kind of stuck with me. And one of the things that really stuck with me back then was, just generating quick cash. And that quick cash was through a method that they brought up, this thing called wholesaling. So, and, of course, you take it back in the 90s, that's like nobody heard from that. It was like taboo. What are you talking about? Are you crazy? So, but I come back and decided that that's what I wanted to do. In fact, the gentleman's seminar I went to was, his name was Charles Gibbons Organization. And a lot of people never heard of him, because he was really big in the 80s and 90s and stuff. And since then he's passed away, but he had a pretty large organization out of Florida. But, I came back and I ended up actually hiring a mentor from that event too. And the interesting thing on that, Jen, is, I was in a position where I just lost everything. So I didn't have any money or anything like that. So I went to my mom and dad and borrowed their credit cards. That was 2 or 3 cards I used and to pay for that gentleman. And it was a $10,000 investment.
Wow.
So yeah. And it was a big deal. And, that's how I got started in this whole thing. And I always tell people that I had the reason. A lot of people ask, well, why didn't you start buying rentals? Well, look, nothing wrong with rentals. The only problem is too many people go out there and do that, and then they don't have any cash to take care of today's bills. And that's what I had to do. I had to take care of the family.
Well, I love how you talk about paying for your education and hiring a mentor, because ultimately I would have never been able to get into this business without, and I paid 3 times as much as you did for my education program. Ugh. But I was able to make that back within 6 months. And for the listeners out there, it's, they hem and haw over the price of things. And it's like, do you want to, be uncomfortable for a little bit and pay that amount so that you can be fully comfortable later on in life? So I appreciate you sharing how much you spent. I'm a little embarrassed how much I spent. No, I'm just kidding. But it was all worth it. I wouldn't have it any other way. And I agree 1,000% to that. So you got into wholesaling, and then it started evolving into fix and flips. And then you started working on your business. So how did that go?
Well, it was interesting. I started doing the fix and flip side of things. And I was still in Springfield. My wife and I were working together in the business. We had office right in our home and continued to grow that side of things. It was really blowing up pretty good. I mean, we're doing quite a few renovation deals. We had, some people helping us some. It was mainly kind of family members and stuff like that. And also, it's kind of funny. The guy that delivered Chinese food to our house, one day I asked him if he wanted to start working for me. And he started working for me.
Wow.
And, yeah, that was kind of funny on that. So he would go out and help me look at homes and stuff like that and just do running around stuff. So, but that continued to grow. And then as I rolled into the year 2000 on things, I went from being bankrupt to building a brand new home. It was this complete change of things. And I think Jen, you've heard this too. Is I've shared a little bit with my story with you, but when my wife and I rolled into the year 2000, we were so pumped. The business was kicking butt. We had a lot of cool things. We had built a brand new home. Found out we're having a baby, and just a lot of blessings going on in our life. And then my wife got to the point where she was later on in her pregnancy. It was probably about 2.5, 3 months before our boy was supposed to be born. She started having some complications, started going to multiple trips to the ER, and couldn't figure out what was going on. And they ended up saying, hey, we need to admit her. And they ended up inducing her. and my little boy was born, Jordan. And they said, we think he'll be all right. He's just going to need some extra care. But they said, we're more concerned about your wife. So we immediately had to have her tested through do a CT scan, because it was just literally within about 20 minutes after he was born, they want to take her down for a CT scan. So they done that. And then within 2 hours of my son being born, they came back to our room, let us know that they have found a massive tumor in my wife's kidneys within about 2 hours of my son being born. And that's what was going on, causing all the problems. And within about a week, we found out it was malignant cancer, something called Wilms tumor, very rare for an adult to have, typically found in kids by the age of 5. We went into just changed everything in our lives. I mean, here we were celebrating, and then we felt like devastated all within, a very short window of time. So this fast forward on that, guys, a little bit. We went into she had to have major surgery done to trying to remove the tumor, and they ended up having to remove her kidneys completely. So she was completely dependent on dialysis. And this was all within about a month and a half after or so he was born. And it just kind of led to one thing after another. And she ended up being treated at Children's Hospital in Columbus, Ohio, because it was a childhood cancer even though she was an adult. And she went into a position where she had major surgery done that they thought was going to be 3 or 4 hours, and that taken about 14 hours. Ugh. And then we ended up in a position where she was in the hospital, and they thought they was going to be in a position where she'd be able to be in recovery and get back, home there and get her started on dialysis and stuff like that. But one complication set in after another, and we ended up being in the hospital for 4 months straight. Ugh. And I ended up moving out of our brand new home we built and moving into the Ronald McDonald House. So that's where I live, in the Ronald McDonald House, for about 4 months there in Columbus. And we finally got home. I was actually rolled over into the following year. We finally got home, and when we did get home, she was completely bedridden and had to go to dialysis 3 times a week, radiation treatments another 2 times a week. So, and, we thought we were making some forward motion there, and then we found out the cancer reoccurred. And there's some different parts of the body at that time, and they just told us that, we needed to call in hospice. And so, guys, 10 months after my little boy was born, my first wife, Jennifer, passed away. And, Jen, one of the big things the reason I share this with people is I think it's so easy for people to put individuals that had different success on a pedestal. And I think you know what I mean by that.
Right.
People, they do that. Oh, yeah, everything worked out for you and stuff. But I want you guys just to pause and think about this. All of you listening to this, here is in a position where I went through a bankruptcy, had to refigure things out. I had built things up, thought everything was rocking and rolling, had a wife become sick, pass away after my son was born. So here I was out there, widowed father of, taking care of a newborn baby. And we had, my first wife and I had worked together in the business. We've been together since high school. So all these things. And, I just share that because I think a lot of people have to realize that, it doesn't all just fall in place. It isn't just this magical thing. And I also want people to get from this that no matter where you're at, I don't care where you're at right now, you're listening to this and you're going through things and you're like, man, I can't make this happen. That's all BS.
Right.
It's all BS in your head. Mm-hmm. Okay. And you just have to realize I had every reason in the world to give up multiple times. And I kept on pushing. I kept on moving forward. And so I just want you guys to think about that, all you listeners out there, no matter where you're at, there's no excuse for you to say, I can't do this, or I can't do this because of family members or because I was never around money or I don't have any money right now. All that is freaking BS crap in your head, guys. So I really like to share that, Jen, just so everybody understands where I came from, in what I've been able to do on this side of things. And I built, and from there I started, I did end up getting remarried, which, my wife now, and she had kids and we had kids together. And next thing you know, we got like a Brady Bunch going on, right? And I grew the business again. I ended up moving over to the Dayton, Ohio area, a little town called Germantown. And we started rebuilding the whole business. And the interesting thing, Jen, is I built this massive machine up of doing multiple rehabs. In fact, at one time I had like 4 full-time project managers working for me and stuff. And after all that, you think I would still learn on things, but you know what? We always develop, we always evolve. And I get this big machine built up. And then one day I realized I hated it. And I went in and ended up letting go about 75% of my whole team. After everything I've been through, I just said, man, I'm going to redo this. And this is what a real light bulb moment happened in my business career. And that was what I never thought about it this way. And I kind of, if you can envision this, and the visual guys, listen to this here, draw a line down a center piece of paper, and one side write real estate and the other side write business. The problem was I was caught up just in real estate, chasing deal after deal, and I never went to the other side of the paper of really how to build a real business or build a company. So what I decided to do was start working on building a company that does real estate instead of focusing just on being in real estate, guys. Now, a lot of you might just be getting started, and I'm going to tell you, it's never too soon to start looking at how you build that business and building out all the different, what I call like kind of departments. And if you think of almost like an assembly line, Jen, and that's what we look at it. And that's how we run things today.
Well, I do know that story, and I appreciate you sharing it with the listeners because it is important. And there's, there's people who have much smaller issues going on in their life, and they are letting it stop them from being successful in this business. And you are a true gift, and I appreciate you sharing that with my listeners. Thank you. And it gets me every time. So, all right. You go from this situation, then you let go of 75% of your business because you're looking at the big picture here of you have the real estate investing side of it, but then there's actually running the business. And you grew your business so that you could kind of step out of it. And now I know that you help other people do this. So
Absolutely.
So what are some pointers that, some takeaways that the listeners can take with them on what to focus on and really making a great business?
Well, I think one of the big things, Jen, that you have to start with, first of all, is I just look at it as awareness. Okay. And I think that's a lot of thing that something that most people lack is, and what I mean by that, it's easy to get on the point where you just get on the treadmill. Okay. And then you're just you're going and going. And what I always like to refer to it as kind of, you become the deal chaser, and you become that deal chaser and you're going from one deal to another. And if you think about it, I mean, we've all been there at some point in time. I know you and I both have on this, where it's easy to get to the point where you're going out, and let's just say you're finding deals. Okay. You're finding these deals, or maybe you're doing some marketing. Okay. And then you're out and you're checking out the deals, and then you're making offers, and then you get one locked up on things. And next thing you know, let's say you're going to go in the fix and flip side of things. And then you start rehabbing the property. Your attention all goes to that, right? And then you're doing all that, managing all that. In the meantime, you just shut down the whole other side of your production line.
Yep.
Okay. And that's what I did, and that's what I've seen so many investors deal with this. And, I've worked with a lot of people and students that I've helped over the years, and I've watched them change things because they're so caught up in that and just to all the moving parts. And I think it's funny because, I see a lot of people, I look at it and I think about, I look at the cell phone. I think, okay, let's just say I was in a business of cell phones. I would go out there and probably pretty quickly look at a way to set the business up and sell as many cell phones as I could, right? I would do that. For some reason, a lot of people in real estate, they never do that. What they do is they just think I guess they just think they always need to be involved in all the moving parts, and it becomes so personal for them. And guys, what I'm going to share with you here more is this. I want you to start thinking differently. I want you to start looking at this. And number one, like I said, become aware that, hey, you know what? Yeah, I might be starting up. Maybe I'm just doing my first few deals. But why couldn't I, in another year, be in a position where I could be doing 4 deals a month and actually doing less work?
I like that.
Okay? Yeah. And see, it's that thinking behind it. You have to change the awareness, but then you have to realize and accept that this is a business. And the sooner you start treating that, as soon as you get to the point where you start treating it as a business, it will start treating you as a business owner.
Well, I'm a bit of a control freak. And I am one of those people who have my hand in every pot of the business. And well, I mean, I have since backed out a little bit, but I get it. And it's so hard sometimes to let go and trust in finding team members to take over businesses, et cetera. But I want to go into why I really wanted you on the show today. And that is before we get more into the business here, but is the acquisition side of the business. Absolutely. And I would love to hear how you became one of the best closers in this business. And we have a mutual friend, Tariq El Musa. That's when I first originally met you, was through Tariq. And he tells our students all the time, 80% is getting that deal, going after the deal and doing this. But if you maybe could shorten that and make it easier, like you just said, with a little less effort, and maybe you chase down a couple deals, but you can close every one of those deals, that's going to make a huge difference. So how are you one of the best closers, and give us some tips on this?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, Jenna, just so everybody understands, when we talk about the overall business, which you have to look at it, they're each part of what I call the assembly line is an area that you really want to make sure that you maximize. And guess what? One of those areas along the assembly line is acquisitions.
Yes.
Okay. So, and I think it's important that people understand that, first of all, a lot of people believe that sales is a numbers game, and that is complete BS. Okay. Sales is not a numbers game. Put it this way, if you think sales is a numbers game, you are going to be in a position where your business, or if you're a salesperson, your revenue is going to be below average. Okay. Because you think it's a numbers game. And what you have to realize is that sales is actually, if it's done correctly, there's actually a proven process behind this that will, if you apply these different techniques and you learn a proven sales process, what's interesting is you can create predictable results with that. And when you can start creating predictable results, guess what? Now you can go back and say, okay, if I invest this much in marketing, then I should be able to get these type of results. Because too many people, what they do is it's like throwing spaghetti on the wall, right? That old thing. That's how they do it. They go out there and say, it's going to be a numbers game. I'll throw enough offers out. I'm going to get some deals. Yeah, you will get some. But the thing is, Jen, too many people work way too hard. So what we have to look at is, let's start working smarter. And what we do is we become aware of it, like I mentioned. And now we look at that we have to follow some type of process. And when we look at this, I think a good thing for all listeners to hear here today is think about the way some of you have probably listened to this with you've been to some type of sales training, but a lot of you have probably never been to any type of sales training, but you're still trained in sales. Mm-hmm. And you say, well, what do you mean by that? Well, the reason you're trained in sales is you're trained by poor performance of other salespeople that don't understand a true sales process. Think how many car dealerships you've been to that people were really annoying. Phone sales, right? All this stuff. We know that. So, and you think about that, what is the typical reaction that we get from these type of things? What we do is the reactions that you get from typically a bad salesperson or somebody, you're not saying they're bad, but they've been poorly trained, or they're not trained at all. So what they do is they come at you, and when they try to come at you, what they're doing is it's making it tough for you as a consumer to even consider working with them, right? So what you do is you put up walls of resistance.
I'm just looking. That's what I say when I'm walking on the car lot.
Right? Yeah, if you're just on the car lot, you say you're just looking.
And furniture stores. That's the other one.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, Jen, is this. When people say that I'm just looking, that's something that you have learned through sales scenarios. And what happens is that what's interesting, it's human behavior to do something what we call misleading with enthusiasm. So what happens is you have somebody comes out and say, hey, I'm just looking. Yeah, I'm checking out. I'm going to be doing something. You're misleading the salesperson, and you don't even realize you're doing it because you've been trained that way.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's so what we have to look at, first of all, is realize, number one, is that the existing sales processes out there that have been out there for years and years are broken and dysfunctional. That's the first thing we have to realize. Then we have to realize that, okay, if we can learn something that creates predictable results, we can change all this. So then we have to say, okay, I have to commit to learning how to work a process that creates these predictable results. And a lot of people go out there and they start studying some stuff. There's a lot of good stuff out there, but then a lot of people do it where they get out there and they're the hardcore closer. I'm just going to push. I'm going to push. I'm going to push. Right. And we already know what happens on that. People get annoyed. Right. It's called resistance. People bring up resistance. And think about this, Jen. When we create resistance, when you get a pushy salesperson, what do you want to do?
Leave,
right? Okay. Yeah. You want to leave. You want to shut down. You want to mislead. There's all kinds of things that you will do, in regards to either getting off a phone call or getting out of a meeting. Think about the good old timeshare things, right? Yeah. That we see. Okay. We'll do anything to get out of that. So that's a natural reaction that we've been trained over the years. So what we have to learn is let's change this whole game, because if we continue to do that, we're going to get what other salespeople have always gotten over the years. So what we do is I really go in and focus heavy on, let's design a sales process around the way human beings actually make decisions.
I love all of this. And I want to give an example of a very standard real estate investor broken model that's out there. So when I'm walking a property, and this is how I was taught, you go through, you build rapport. Oh, I love this artwork. Is this your family? Whatever it is. And then you're walking you end up in the driveway, and then you say, so what is the price you would like for this property? And then they tell you, and you say, well, how did you come up with that number? Is that number flexible? So these are already you're negating with that person. And here you just went through and was looking at the property. You really want the property. And then you fall into your old ways. Cause I do it like from time to time, like, oh, I just did it again. So I need more Jerry Green in my life. So what is a better way to approach a situation like that?
Well, I agree with you. The most people believe that. In fact, how many times have we heard the person that names the number first, what, loses, right? Mm-hmm. So, and that's all BS, Jen. So the interesting thing is this. Okay, and I want you to think on this side of things. See, when we get into, let me give you an example here real quick, okay? Let's think that department store. You're going to check out a department store, okay? And you go in and you see these cool jeans. And Jen says, man, I like those jeans, right? I really like those. And on the price tag of the jeans, it says at the top, $300 on these jeans. Now, right below that, it shows that they were marked down to $149.97. But right now, they have a sale going on for $89 for these jeans. And you love them. They're $300 jeans, right? $300 jeans, $89. What do you think? Pretty good deal, Jen?
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So she agrees on that. So Jen agreed that this was a pretty good deal on these jeans. I just done something, what I call price anchoring you. Okay. And I price anchored you based upon the jeans that originally were at $300. And stores, retailers know how to do this really well. And it works. Guess what? We can flip it and reverse it on a seller at the same time. So what we do is I train people to say, look, if you ask the seller for a price, you can, but I highly recommend that you name the price first versus the seller. Because what happens is when the seller names the price first, they're price anchoring you.
Ah.
And who would you rather have price anchor, you or the seller?
Nice.
I would rather, yeah. So what we can do is we will price anchor that. So we do it in a way, Jen, where like if I'm out in the driveway talking to that person, like you said, and we're going over things, I might say, hey, George, I know that you would never consider this. And this is, it's just, but I know that if I bought this property and for me not to lose money on this and stuff, I probably have to be somewhere around $85,000 to $87,000. But I know you'd never take that because your property is way too nice. Now, what I didn't do is I didn't come out and make you a direct offer. What I did was done what we call more of a soft anchor on that. So I just made you a soft anchor. Now, here's the interesting thing. If I just made you an offer like that, you'd probably say, oh, go to, wherever. Right. Okay. Thank you, Jen. So, and now the thing is, though, when I do it in a soft anchor, what happens is you'll say, oh, well, there's no way I could do that. I would have to be at blank. Now you just told me the number.
And I bet it's going to be closer to that anchor.
Yes. Or you might say, well, I don't know. You're probably not too far off, Jerry. Okay. Now I know. Versus the other way around where I'm just trying to get you, give me a number. Because think about this. If you were in the opposite position and you have somebody come in and say, what are you asking for your property? You're probably going to go high, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So why wouldn't the seller do that to you too?
Jerry, this is gold. This is gold. This is why you're on here. And just that one nugget alone is amazing. And we could spend hours discussing this. And I just love this. So now fast forward, you have your business, it's running itself, and now you are helping people do the same. And you have a business coaching company. It's called REI Sales Academy, where you break this down. You gave us one little teeny tiny nugget here, and I've heard you give quite a few. So tell us about this program, because listeners, I'm telling you, this guy is the best in the business. And if you have the opportunity, you really need to jump on joining this program. So tell us about REI Sales Academy.
All right, great. Yeah, Jen, it's something we're really proud of. It's something that we worked hard on, and also the original gentleman too, John Martinez. We worked together over the years, and then I fully took over the organization too. And and you guys got to look at is, when I looked at doing this, I thought, how can my 20 some years and almost, right at 3,000 deals really make an impact on people and their ability to convert more deals? Well, I've had all that streetwise knowledge over the years. So what we've done is we've incorporated into this what we call the REI Sales Academy, which is an amazing program. It's actually the way it's set up, Jen, is there's really two main components to it. One is what we call our weekly live calls. And I usually host them, or one of my key team members, and we do a live call every week on Wednesdays. And it's an hour long. And what it's based upon is a 12-week curriculum that we go through, and it's stepping people through a complete sales process. Okay. And it's amazing the results people will get if they just start applying this. I mean, quick example, I got a gentleman that's right at 70 years old out of Pennsylvania that pretty well given up on things after COVID. He was a major REO broker, and that pretty well put him out of business. And he decided to come back into it. Well, he's been applying the sales process. I've been hammering it, working with him on the coaching side of things. And the dude is literally closing on average 2 to 3 deals a month.
Wow. And
his average spreads are about 20 to 25,000 per deal that he's doing. He's wholesaling these.
Wow.
Okay. So think about that. All right. But what he always says, Jerry says, the sales process is my key. Okay. To this. So what we do on this is we go through that 12-week training. And then the gentleman I was telling you about, his name's Andy. It's what he's been doing. He's been going through that 12-week training. And we do it live every Wednesday. And then what happens after 12 weeks, it resets. Okay. And we start over on that side of things. Because what we learned is repetition is so important. Okay. It's like basketball player or something. If you don't practice your fundamentals on a regular basis, you're going to lose out. So you got to do that. Now, the other second part of the academy is what we call our online portal, really, is what we have. And that has our complete online training. It's the curriculum that we do live, but what happens is it's all broke down in modules. So let's just say that you're struggling with maybe a resistance from a seller. You're struggling with that. You can actually go in and dive in and drill down on how to deal with resistance on that one particular area. So it's kind of a self-paced thing. And then in addition to that, in there, Jen, we have whole portal trainings on dispositions. If you're in the wholesaling, we have trainings there too on cold callers, anybody that's a virtual assistant, how they can use this, their texters. We build all that in. So that way everything is congruent when it comes to the sales process. So we have live trainings, we have the whole online portal. And the cool thing about it is people that come in, it's a one-time investment for lifetime. So and then what we find is people love this because what happens, they can bring their team in.
Right.
So like Jenny, you were doing that and you say, hey, I'm going to hire this person, or I have somebody that's on, family member or something. You can bring them in the academy, and then we just continue to train them. So, and that's what we do within the sales academy. And, anybody that, is interested in something like this, all you got to do is just talk to one of my team members and book a call, and they can share that with you. And, it's absolutely no commitment whatsoever. It's just, if it works, it works for you. And that's cool.
Well, I got to share a quick story. So I was a school teacher for 16 years, and then I woke up one day, realized I hated children. And so then I went into an equally abusive industry. I went into health insurance. But for about 30 seconds, I sold Aflac. And I was like, this sales is bullshit. I hate I will never do sales ever again in my life. And then 5 or 6 years later, I find myself attending a 3-day event like you did. And then I'm like, take my money. And I never looked back. And it was funny because we were in just a meeting or something. And someone said, real estate is sales. I'm like, oh no. And they're like, Jen, all real estate is sales. And so listeners, if you are thinking, I don't really need this sales stuff, you will not be successful in this industry without being great at sales. So I just had to share that story because I was like, no, it's real estate. It's not sales. And it absolutely is. So to wrap up this yes, absolutely. So to wrap up this first portion of the podcast, you heard me give a badassery bestowment, which is a little nugget, a little piece of advice. So do you have a piece of advice that you can share with the audience?
Well, I think a big thing that I want you guys to look at is that here's I think a big thing when it comes to acquisitions, and that is too many people come into this, Jen, thinking that they get this self-title of I'm not a salesperson, I'm not good at sales,
right?
Or I'm too much of an introvert, right? And here's what I want you guys to think about. Stop focusing on you being a bad salesperson or no experience. Instead, focus on a proven process that creates the results. Because if you focus on the process, you'll overcome all of that. And that's a big thing that I think so many people suffer. I see this over and over again.
I love that. And I think they absolutely need to come and learn that process by attending REI Sales Academy. So thank you for sharing your stories. And the second part of the podcast is what makes Jerry Green a badass, which you are clearly. And I use the acronym BADASS. And the first letter is B for book. What is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
Oh, wow. There's a lot of different books over the years. One of the, it's a real simple read, but one of the great books that I love is Eat That Frog from Brian Tracy.
Yes. No one talks about that book. I love that book.
Yeah, it's a great book. It's a very simple read. And all of you that are listening, there's no excuses for you guys not to get that. And the reason I say that so much too is it really helped me when I was stuck and not know what direction to go. Okay.
And get the bad shit out of the way first thing.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. That's the whole premise. Excellent. I got to dig out that book. That was a good one. All right. The first A in badass is for advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received? You gave us some good ones, but what's the best piece of advice you've received?
I think one of the probably best pieces of advice that I've ever had was to really look at just business and life in general, that you are more than capable of doing anything you want to do, and don't compare.
Oof. That is tough. How do you tell people not to compare themselves with others around them?
I think the best thing you can do on that side of things, Jen, this is, and I've had to go through this myself, is looking at only time any comparison you do is just of you. And you say, am I comparing myself to yesterday? Did I make some improvement? And it doesn't matter how much it is, just whatever it is. It might be something simple. Okay. And whatever that is, that's what you got to look at. And that's where you got to keep going on, because if you don't, it will totally eat at you like a cancer and destroy you.
Yes. Well, this morning when I woke up and wanted to be better today, I colored my roots for you. So that's how I became. It was pretty rough this morning, I'll tell you that.
Well, I couldn't, man, Jen looks so gorgeous today. So.
All right, I'll pay you later, Jerry. All right. The D in badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
Just waking up.
Yeah.
Seriously, think about this. I've a really good, I've heard this shared a couple of times about, would you rather have $10 million or be able to wake up tomorrow morning? So, and I think the answer for just about everybody that I know is going to be able to wake up tomorrow. So nothing wrong with going for the $10 million, but just remember that, guys. Okay, that should be your drive, and then of course your family, but this drive, just look, you got to have a reason to get up.
So well said. And I love following you on social media, and I see what your family's doing, and they are constantly I know your boys have this new construction business and they build decks and they do all this stuff. And I see you applying what you teach many people with your own family. And I love following you. You are fantastic. And, people say things on these podcasts, but you truly live them. And I appreciate it. All right. The second A in badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
One of the big ones that I'm looking right now is to take really our other companies, like our educational companies, to the point of 8 figures a year.
Wow. I don't see anything stopping you from doing that because you are fantastic. All right. The first S in badass is for systems. This one's huge. So what systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
Boy, I'm a big system person. And everything, I'll tell you, everyone on this side of things is without systems, you're just working really in chaos. And the difference really for me on this side of things is systems allows you to create a real company. Without the systems, you don't create a company. Okay. And the result on that allows me to be in the position where I work 2 to 3 hours a week in overseeing things of the real estate business, and that's it.
Wow.
So that kind of gives you the clarity of what the power is of systems.
Absolutely. Well, to wrap this up, the final S in badass is success. What does success mean to Jerry Green?
Just enjoying life. Jen, it's so funny. You take it back 30 some years and it was just all about that badass car we drive or something like that. Right. And now it's just about, man, just enjoy life. You know what I mean? Enjoy life. Be able to be on, to me, just like be on your show and share with your students and, see my boys growing up and starting to do things. That's all anymore, and my own team, my team, watching them succeed. That's the cool stuff.
Well, I think it's very evident to the listeners that besides being a great educator yourself, that you are just a very genuine person. And I know you want success for all those around you. And I appreciate you so much for coming on the show. So how do people find your REI Sales Academy?
Well, you can just go out there and Google it.
Ask the Google.
Yeah, the REI Sales Academy there. You also, guys, you can follow me too over on, just jump on Instagram there. My handle is the Jerry Green. Okay, pretty simple on that. Follow me on there. And also, we actually have a free Facebook page to a group that is, Jen, for the REI Sales Academy. So you can just go out there, REI Sales Academy on Facebook. You can request to join the group. I think we got about 7,000 members or so in there, and they're active on things. They're always sharing things on different things they're coming up with, and join the group, and we can help you on that. And like say, if you want to be in a position where you want to learn more, just go to our website and you can book a call with one of our team members, and we can talk and see how we can help you out.
Well, Jerry, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome, Jen. I really appreciate you and everything that you do.
Absolutely. And that is all. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of REIN by registering on reinmastermind.com.